See that. All right. So, good day, everyone. Welcome to another episode of A Day in the Life of a Cyber Professional. My name, as always, is Dr. Mukhtar, or you can call me DML. I'm your host for today's journey into the realm of cybersecurity. Welcome to the 4th edition of our series, A Day in the Life of Cybersecurity, Cyber Professional, a series that aims to unveil the realities and hidden treasures of cybersecurity as a career. And remember, this session is part of Marshall Technologies Cybersecurity Management Professional Coaching Program, a program designed to elevate your cybersecurity career and serve as a stairway to unparalleled expertise and success. So, fasten your seatbelt as we take you on a journey into the world of a cyber profession. And ladies and gentlemen, I have with me today, and I will introduce you to Dr. Mukhtar Bello, a powerhouse in cybersecurity and digital forensics. He's distinguished with his academic background, and of course, he has a PhD in cybersecurity. He seamlessly blends theory with practice. And his professional journey spans from being the head of quality control at a top Nigerian law enforcement agency to being an invaluable consultant for the United Nations. He's not just a teacher, but an investigator, a standard setter, and a subject matter expert on a global scale. Backed by numerous certifications and esteemed affiliations, Dr. Mukhtar Bello is not just a cybersecurity expert, he's a cybersecurity phenomenon. I can tell you that we are in for an intellectually invigorating ride today. Welcome, Doctor. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mukhtar, for having me. Good to see you again as well.
Yeah, same here. And an interesting thing I would like to let people know today. So, aside, of course, as you can see, aside being my namesake, we go way back. Yeah, we were colleagues. Yes, we were colleagues. Yes, say that again.
I said we did our PhD together some 7 years ago.
Yes,
right, so
and it's been a while.
it's been a while. It's good to see you doing well.
Yeah, and it's really, really good to have you on the show. I'm so honored to host you today. Thank you so much for being on our program. And we have people on Zoom, and people are already joining us live on LinkedIn. So I will just, before we jump straight into it, I will remind everyone how we run this. So for the first 30 to 40 minutes of the show, I will ask you some questions I have prepared here. And some of the questions I'm interested in learning more about, I believe our audience are also interested in learning more about that as well. And after that, we'll open the floor for people in the audience to ask questions. So first, we'll allow people on Zoom who are members of our program, and then we'll take questions from the chat, from the LinkedIn chat. So that's how we'll run it for the next hour or so. So without further ado, when you're ready, we can start.
Thank you very much.
All righty. So I will give you, of course, a minute to introduce yourself, and then I'll ask my first question if you want to do that. And I know I tried, but I probably didn't do justice to how much you've done. Please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mukhtar. It's good to see you again. And I think you've been quite generous in your introduction, quite above and beyond what I do. But like you mentioned, I've traversed from law enforcement to academia. I've consulted equally for the UNODC in almost 3 projects now. I'm also a subject matter expert with Notified and quite a number of other institutions as well. So I'm back in academia, researching and teaching full-time at the University of Salford here in Manchester. So it's good to be here, and I look forward to this quite interesting conversation.
Definitely. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. It's an honor having you on the show. So, Doctor, can you share a pivotal moment in your career that shaped your perspective on the intersection of cybersecurity, fraud prevention, and cybercrime investigation?
Quite an interesting. I remember vividly. Originally, I was supposed to study agricultural science because I kind of did well in secondary school, but I made that career change to IT. And right after my first degree, I went to India, Mumbai to be precise, spent about 6 months. One of the first to do the certified ethical hacker course, the version one, I think, way back. I'm talking about 2005, six. So I worked briefly in a telecommunication company, and there was this particular incident that happened. A customer came and he was complaining that calling credits were being deducted from his phone. And we tried to calm him down, but he was a bit aggressive and he had every reasons to be. And so we're able to use technology to actually find out that it was actually his daughter that was, transferring credits to him to her phone. And the way and manner my then mentor was able to handle the issue using technology to detect it's a kind of fraud. You can call it fraud. So since then, I knew that technology has a role to play, not just in cybersecurity in terms of enabling processes, but also in the prevention and detection of fraud. And as you know, cybercrime has different variants, and they keep on changing, just like the technology changes in cybersecurity. Cybercrime also changed. So for me, you always have technology, then you have people, then you have the processes. So I think that exposure I got from India and working within a regulatory telecommunication sector, I kind of understood that data, especially technology, can detect fraud and can be used for any kind of investigation. But you need the right skill set, you need the understanding of that technology, and you also need to have a bit of laid down procedures, so ethical ways of. That's why when we do the certified ethical hacker, we're not there to commit crime, rather we're there to understand how crime and fraud has kind of transformed itself from the traditional way of crime to a more advanced one that is based on digital transformation.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. That was so good. And yeah, what you just said now, I just remember the last session we had, and it's exactly what the person said. Yeah, certified ethical hacker is great. They're not saying you're going to become a hacker, but teaches you how an attacker thinks. And then it can help you either to prevent fraud or prevent cybercrime, or of course, when one happens, you know how to investigate one because you can think like them. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. My second question. So as an expert in cybersecurity and digital forensics, how do you see fraud and cybercrime fitting into the larger framework of cybersecurity efforts?
So as you know, cybersecurity is quite broad. I mean, if you're going to be quite practical, there's more the reactive, preventive, and also proactive components of cybersecurity. I mean, everybody is aware of the NIST framework, which has to do with detecting, preventing, and also, mitigating any kind of cybersecurity incident. You also have the ISO, which is the International Organization of Standardization 27001, which has to do with information security management systems as well as cybersecurity. So the technology, the framework of cybercrime, rather the framework of cybersecurity keeps on changing, and technology kind of enables those kind of changes that happens, and also enables the criminal as well to be able to get newer skill sets, newer vulnerabilities, and the threats keep on changing. So really the intersection for me as a digital forensic expert is that the framework hasn't has just enabled the use of technology to be able to understand, to mitigate, to recover from any cybersecurity incident. And as you know, cybersecurity does not exist without cybercrime. So the vulnerabilities and the threats to those vulnerabilities create what they call cybersecurity incidents. I mean, the first line of defense, is for those of us that went through the ranks. We started as a help desk technician, so we go and fix systems, we configure switches, routers, we mitigate problems, we escalate the ones. So the frameworks they keep on changing. Most of the time they're playing catch up, but with AI, I'm seeing quite a lot of the cybersecurity framework being predictive and futuristic. They tend to allow especially AI, the way AI has enabled quite a lot of things. You can do almost everything with AI. So the frameworks, you have the national frameworks, then you have the regional ones, then you have the international standards. And like any other standard, it needs constant review, evaluation, a bit of monitoring, and to see how the particular framework will fit in to investigate cybercrime.
Oh, great. Thank you. So if anyone in the audience is listening, and I know people are listening, there's no cybersecurity without cybercriminals. That if there's anything, and then the cybersecurity gives you the framework, of course, to prevent, to respond, and to recover from cybercrimes when they happen. And one of those, of course, fraud is also a form of cybercrime. If it's cyber fraud, right? It can happen in the cyberspace or even outside of cyberspace. So thank you for sharing that. And I guess that leads to the third question, which is, why is understanding fraud and cybercrime, which you started touching on, essential for professionals pursuing a career in cybersecurity? Could you highlight the real-world scenarios to illustrate this importance?
So you're trying to find out the importance of cybercrime.
Yeah. Why is this? So why is it important that someone getting into cybersecurity develops that mindset of, okay, I want to understand how a criminal thinks? Like you,
A very famous criminologist in Australia called Grabowski made a statement, which I'm going to use. They call it old wine in new bottles. So cybercrime has been there. I mean, if we're going to go to the basics, the most apt definition of cybercrime are in two variants. You have the cyber-enabled crimes. Those are traditional crimes that have been enabled by technology, like stalking, like impersonation, theft, advance fee, fraud. And you have the cyber-dependent crime. Those are dependent on technology, like the distributed denial of service attack, Trojans, malicious software, and quite a business email compromise. So it's very, very important for you to understand where the vulnerabilities are. And by understanding the vulnerabilities, it makes it a bit easier for you to understand how that particular crime took place. I mean, traditionally, when there's any kind of cybersecurity incident within an organization or with any form of digital device, you use principles of digital forensics to find out what actually happened. But quite a lot of information is no longer stored on digital devices. They're up there in the cloud. You have quite a number of sophisticated systems that really does not keep information. So even digital forensic itself keeps on evolving every day because of technology. So it's very, very important for you to be able to mitigate, recover, have a bit of a resilience. It's understand to know how these threat actors happen. So if you know where the vulnerabilities are, and I always tell people, the most weakest link is the human link. and it's the most dangerous kind of vulnerability or threat. It's the person that is within that particular system. So you need to put in place framework policies and processes. Make sure those fundamentals of cybersecurity see the confidentiality in terms only authorized people have access, integrity, that data does not change, is intact while in state or in transit, and availability, meaning data is available when it's required. Then you have others like repudiation. When you send an email, you know that that email has been sent. It's very important, but you have to understand being a cybersecurity expert does not make you cybercrime investigator. They are two different things. The technical know-how, yes, is very important, but you need to also understand the basics of investigation. You need to be able to understand how to get information without tampering with that information. So for us that are into investigation, you wouldn't compromise your investigation. You need to extract information. It has to be done in a logical way. Because when you're dealing with evidence, then that needs to be relied upon in the court of law. It has to be admissible. It has to be reliable as well. It has to be exact what happened in that particular scene or in that particular investigation.
100%. 100%. Thank you. Thank you. That's definitely very valuable. So, and I don't know if you're all getting the idea that cybercrime investigation, cybercrime itself, cybersecurity, they go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other, isn't it? So my next question, so how can professionals effectively bridge the gap between cybersecurity strategies and proactive measures to combat fraud and cybercrime?
That's a very good question. First of all, you have to define, who is a professional in terms of cybersecurity. And like I always say, there is no assumption when it comes to cybersecurity. So for you to be able to bridge the gap from strategy to policy, first of all, you need to pass through training. If that training means on-the-job training or certification of advancement of your career. You need to be mentored. You need to have a coach, like what you're doing now. You need to be coached and mentored by someone. So strategies are ideas about what I intend to achieve and how I intend to do it. While policies, on the other hand, the ways and manner that I want that particular strategy to be achieved. So for professionals to bridge that gap, you need research, you need to do research. Secondly, you need to have the basic skills in terms of what is needed professional. Some might be very good in programming, but they're not good in network, for example. Some are good in database, SQL, and the rest, while others are not. So you need to understand your specialization. Once you understand your specialization, that gap can be bridged. Because cybersecurity is so wide. It's very, very important that you specialize. Once you have the fundamentals, understanding of cybersecurity. Like me, my specialization has been digital forensics and cybercrime investigation. That doesn't mean I don't understand what someone is doing as a programmer. Well, I wouldn't be able to do it as good as he's doing it. So it's very important. You have to do research, you have to study, you have to be mentored and coached, and you have to see the practical implication of what you're doing. I remember, Mukhtar, you can back me up when we're doing our PhD. The most important thing is what are the contributions of my research? Contribute knowledge, theoretical contribution, policy, practice. What are you doing that would change the practice of cybersecurity? So it's important. You have to do your homework. You have to pay your dues. You can't just wake up and be an expert. Even me, I'm still studying. I don't want to call myself an expert because I'm not. So it's very, very important for you to bridge that gap. You need the skill set, you need the experience, and you need the guidance through mentorship and coaching.
Thank you. I like everything you said. I guess I'll pick just one thing out of everything. No, don't be a jack of all trades. It's very important. Yes, you can understand, there's so many things we can do, but you can't do everything, right? Specialize, focus on one area. And I like that you said that. It's interesting that we've had 4 episodes of this live session, and every single person said the same thing. Specialization in this space is very key, because it's just like someone studying anything, accounting, computer science, and then you say, oh yeah, I'm a computer scientist. What do you really do? Would be the next question. So when you're trying to get into cybersecurity, think of it that way. So thank you very much for sharing that, Doctor. Yeah, my next question. So with the evolving, and I think you started talking about this earlier in the program. So with the evolving landscape of cyber threats, what advice would you give to aspiring cyber professionals looking to stay updated and relevant in their career? So they're already in the field, or they're just starting out. How can they stay relevant? If you don't, there are certain things you need to do to not be left behind in the space. So what recommendations would you give to them?
Basically, the first is you have to have the interest. Once you have the interest, then find out what you're good at, what's your strength. Some people are very good in governance, risk, and compliance. Some are programmers, penetration testers. Some are digital forensics experts. Some are researchers. So understand what your strengths are. Once you've understood what your strengths are, then what do I need to do to become an expert? And what you need to do would involve what? Do I need to do certification training? Do I need to be mentored? Do I need hands-on experience? Because the moment you leave the classroom, you go, what matters is what you bring, the skill set. And you can only learn these skill sets on the job. So it's very, very important. The basics, you need, let's say, CompShare A+, which is PC technician. You need to understand the composition of a computer, what a computer is. I mean, that has changed. I mean, or anything literally that has ability to process information can be regarded as a computer, like Internet of Things, whereby your microwave is connected to your phone and your TV. So you need to understand if you understand your strengths, it's in governance, law, and compliance, then you check who are the people, who are the industry leaders there. You try to attend webinars, you try to network, you go to cybersecurity conferences, you learn, you ask questions, you reach out to people on LinkedIn. Look, I want to do this, I want to become an expert. Can you help me? Can you guide me? I teach cyber law, digital forensics for undergrads. And whenever I'm teaching them cyber law, I always tell them I'm not a lawyer, but I have an understanding of what the various cyber laws are, the international, regional, as well as the local ones back home where I was lecturing. So it's very, very important. You need to understand where the resources are in terms of the manpower, who is going to help you reach where you are. If it's a program, if you need to pay for it, you can afford it, pay. If not, there are free videos on YouTube whereby you can learn. But you have to use your skill set ethically. It should be to either further career progression or to improve, to mitigate, to escalate any kind of cybersecurity incident. So you wouldn't become an expert overnight. So you have to pay the dues. You can decide to go the academic route, all the way to masters in this. You can decide to go the certification route. You can decide to go the apprenticeship, whereby you learn on the job without having the academic qualifications. And really now, a lot of companies, there's so much cybersecurity jobs with fewer people. So a lot of companies are not even looking for your certification or your PhD or your MSc. They're looking at what you can do.
Yes.
How many tools can you use?
Mm-hmm.
So it's very, very important. Identify a mentor, someone that can guide you, then move in. What do I need to do in the next 6 months? How many conferences are there of cybersecurity? How many webinars can I attend? Then you begin to build your profile, you begin to meet the right people, you begin to connect with the right people, networking. I mean, I was lecturing and I met this, was in his second year university, extremely brilliant guy, was doing so much more. And when I sat down with him, I realized he knew 10 times more than I did, but he was in class and I was teaching him because what I had a bit of experience.
Yeah.
I'll tell him, okay, these are the scenarios of where you can use this skill set. So it's very, very important. You need to be mentored, you need to be coached. That cannot be overemphasized.
100%. Thank you. Thank you for that. And you know what you said just ties out to something I always tell our professionals, because that's what we call the people in our program. So I tell them the journey you plan to go to you plan to go through in 2 years. If you have someone that has seen it and done it, you can go through that same journey in 6 months or less. So that guidance is very important. It can be a straight path, but if you're going it alone, you can go in different directions before you get there. So mentorship, very important. Learning on your own as well, in addition to mentorship, because a mentor or a coach can only guide you and support you based on what you have, or you can't, a coach can't teach you everything, or a coach may not even be a teacher, just be a guidance. So very important to, of course, continue to learn, even as a professional in the space. Don't stop learning, because you'll be left behind. This technology, of course, and cybersecurity is not stopping. It keeps evolving. This next question is very important to me, and I'm asking on behalf of a friend who I hope is watching. So could you share insights on how your work as a terrorism prevention expert intersects with cybersecurity, particularly in addressing financial crimes and digital components?
Well, I know you must be wondering, what am I doing with terrorism prevention, right? I asked myself that question. The very short answer to that is digital footprint.
Yeah.
So I work for a program funded by the US and EU on criminal justice response to terrorism and violent extremism. So I oversee a joint law enforcement as well as armed forces training on digital evidence in the scene of war. This was back when I was in Nigeria, in the Northeast, Maiduguri, Yobe, and Adamawa states. So I teach investigators and operatives to be able to get evidence from terrorists in terms of their phones and laptops and extract that information, because criminal justice response to terrorism is very important. The only way you can do it is when you build cases. So I oversee also the training of prosecutors on how they can use those digital devices or the movement of funds, financial illicit movement of terrorism financing. So I teach them not to tamper with evidence. I teach them how to extract information, how to write a forensic report, how to go to court and testify as an expert witness. I also do a crash program for judges that are handling these special cases, because the problem is that really a lot of things we do on our phones and laptops. So my job is to get intelligence, help them investigate, mitigate, and to work within the ambits of the law. I mean, we have a Terrorism Prevention Act 2022 in Nigeria, and quite a lot of countries also have those laws to be able to guide. So what I do is I go to the field sometimes with them. I also mentor criminal investigations in terms of staff or working on the forensics. When of investigation, whether it's terrorism, kidnapping for ransom, we do the dirty work in terms of getting the evidence. And getting evidence is not like getting information. So if you're a good cybersecurity expert, it doesn't make you a good forensic expert, because forensics is a logical conclusion. Whatever I do, defense counsel should be able to do and reach to the same conclusion. So we've seen quite a lot of changes have happened. Remember, it is criminal justice response to countering violent extremism and terrorism. So we try to prevent cases by getting evidence, by going to courts, by seeking conviction.
I think we're I don't know if
you're giving somebody money to come.
We might be losing you a bit. I think the network is it just me? Or can
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I think you're back. Yes, you're back. You're back, yes.
I think it's just you. I think it's just you because you're freezing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But he is okay.
Okay, that's fine then. That's fine then. As long as you can hear more, okay. Thank you.
Okay. So actually I can't remember what I was saying. Anyways, I know it's about terrorism. So what we do is build cases that will last, get them convicted, and also that will serve as deterrence. So that has taken me, challenged me as an individual to see this particular skill set. How do I use it to make sure we counter that narrative of terrorism in terms of getting intelligence, building cases. The last training I did for judges as well as prosecutors. So they I give them scenarios. Obviously, you go to a crime scene, you see this and that. What do you do? What kind of questions should you ask? What you demand from your team looking for? These are people, that the terrorists. I'll just give you a small statistics. I see people to recruit thousands of any of the countries. What they use social media. We're doing. We found a particular social media app that and to communicate with each other. So really good feedback. We're getting some convictions, and we're also setting the foundation for science-based investigation and intelligence-driven investigation. Very, very important. It has to be scientific, because if it's not, then it's an opinion, not based on fact.
Great. So you brought in research and of course they're all dependent on each other. Research, forensics. Of course, research, forensics is really your investigation is really research, isn't it? Finding facts, finding the right, not just any information, but the right information to help understand what happened and why or how it happened. So yeah, thank you very much. And I apologize, my network I realize it's bad, but I hope everyone got every little detail of what is shared. But I got a lot of it, but my network broke out in the middle. The last question, even though we're already way over time in terms of my questions, I should have opened the floor for others to ask. But one last question, which I think will be important for everybody. So based on your wealth of experience, what are some key qualities and skills that you believe are critical for individuals pursuing a successful career in cybersecurity, especially those dealing with fraud prevention and cybercrime investigation? Okay. It looks like
well, and
there we go.
I always tell people A, B, C of assume nothing, B, you believe nothing, and C, you check everything. So very sensitive, with very soft skills in terms of using basic software. You remember the 5 V's of data. The first one is variety. Data comes in different variety. The second one is volume. It comes in volumes of sizes, gigabytes and TBs. And you also have the other one is velocity. How fast can I get this information? Then you have veracity that deals with, making sure that that particular information is correct. Then the last V is value. How much value do you put on your data? So if you're very inquisitive, first you do your research. Once you've done your research, it's very, very important. You're very good in writing, because you're going to write a number of reports. You have to be good in presentation. I mean, one of my phobias was public speaking. And I can tell you, even before this particular conversation with DM already. So it's very, very important. You need to be able to present to non-technical people. Because when I go to court as an expert witness to tell the judge, my lord, this phone has binary number 001002. I've already lost audience. I've already lost the judge. So I will have to be able to think or talk in a certain way. My lord, this phone has a unique identification number that uniquely identifies a phone. It's called an IMEI. It is like a serial number. So you have the situation, meaning you research. In research, you learn. In research, you find out, you ask questions. That's why in research, they'll tell you what questions are you trying to ask and where do you intend to get the answers from. So very, very important. You need to have those administrative skills, multitasker. You need to have some other skills, technical skills for those that want to go into cybersecurity. The more technical part, you need to be able to do basic help desks. How to fix a system, network issues, troubleshooting issues. Then you move specialize. If you're going to as a penetration tester, you specialize. If you're going into governance risks, you specialize. Digital forensics, you specialize. So specialization, identify anybody, a mentor, someone that will guide you. And you have to be under that mentorship. Like for us, when you write a forensic report, it takes you 2 years of mentorship before you write a report with your name. And even if you write a report with your name, you have a peer reviewer, a senior colleague that goes through the same process and reach to the same logical conclusion. Once he has something separate from what you have, and there's a problem. And you also need to know the basics, because I got into trouble. I was privileged enough to testify in a court martial, which is a military court system. And I got put off because in my report, I had close to 40 abbreviations. And the defense counsel asked me every single one of those abbreviations. And the ones I could not remember, he kept on taunting me and saying, oh, you're a forensic expert. You don't know what SIM stands for. Or you don't know what RAM or ROM, read-only memory, or stand for. So I'm like, you have to be on top of the situation. Mm-hmm. And the moment you assume you know everything, then it's game over. Yeah. So once you know something, build on it, be very open to meet people, be very open to network. Networking is very important. You can get quite a lot of people that are willing to help you on LinkedIn or any conferences you attend. So it's very, very important that you get the skill set, you get the right people to guide you, and you need the motivation to to do that.
All right, great. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I have nothing else to add. Thank you so much. I will, at this point, I'll open the floor for questions. So if you're on Zoom and you have a question, you can unmute and ask a question or put the number 1 in the chat so that I can call you. If you're on LinkedIn and you're watching, you can type your question in the chat and I will read it out to our guest today. So over to you on Zoom. I see that you're muted. Please go ahead.
Yes. I have a question. Thank you so much, Dr. Bello. I was wondering if you guys are brothers. I'm still trying to think if you're brothers, Dr. Mukhtar. Sorry?
We're twins. He's DML, I am DMB.
So exactly. Easy, right?
I said it. Even if, in fact, it's too glaring. There's nothing anybody can tell me. Anyway, I'll get to my question quickly because of others. I really enjoyed your presentation today, to be honest. It's really, man, there's so many things you said today within a short period of time. And I'm picturing, I'm trying to create this scenario in my head, how really, really challenging your work must have been. I mean, it's mind-boggling to say the least, honestly. However, this is my question. What would it take for someone who is in a different field in Nigeria to get into, what you do? And let me speak this to generally in terms of cybersecurity. How easy, is it for someone that wants to go into cybersecurity, or so what kind of specialized trainings can such a person embark on? What would the journey be? And especially this terrorist security that you mentioned right now, because it's something that is that should be tackled head-on in Nigeria. So if you can throw a bit of light on that, I will be very happy. Thank you.
Okay, so how easy is it for somebody to start a career in cybersecurity? Well, if you have a science background, you're technically savvy, you can go ahead and start just the basic fundamentals. If it's if it's new for you, you don't have any technical background, I'll expect you to go through PC, they call it PC technician, just knowing how the PC, the computer is, and the phone and everything. Once you've done that, like I tell people, attend webinars, do the right certifications. Quite a lot of them are free online. Get coaching from Mukhtar and other professionals out there, and really research, write, read articles. Very, very important. You don't have to be proficient in using a vendor. You don't have to be certified by a certification body. They are important, but the most important thing is the quality of your work, the reliability, and also the name you create for yourself. So if you feel you want to start, the lawyers can easily go into governance, risks, and compliance. Programmers can easily go into pen testing and vulnerability assessment and the rest. People that are into help desks can easily go into network security, cybersecurity, digital forensics. So identify what your interests are, then you specialize on them. So how easy it is? It is not easy. However, the only way you can understand it is to be guided properly. So there are a lot of textbooks out there. There are a lot of fundamental, like I know ISC squared is still running. The certified in cybersecurity is free of charge. They're the certification body for the industry standard, which is the CISSP. If you can just do that CC, go online, search for certified in cybersecurity, for example, or go to Dr. Lasisi's own platform, you'll be able to be properly guided and coached. But these information are out there, and most of them are free of charge.
Thank you. I'm not sure you understood my question, because you say you started your journey from Nigeria.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm asking with regards to, for someone in Nigeria. That's my question.
Do the certified in cybersecurity. Some of these things I'm saying obviously are privileged. I mean, I didn't learn them on the job, so I was privileged enough to be part of an organization that was able to train me and have those access. So the different corporate, whenever I train the corporate sector, the way they do their corporate investigation is different from criminal investigation. Theirs is all about mitigation, risk compliance, cyber resilience. Okay, we have a crash on our application. So do that certification, very important. Identify a mentor, whether in Nigeria remotely, I can be your mentor, for example, and you can begin from there. We don't need to be both in the same geographical location for you to be mentored. So it's up to you. I mean, you can reach out to Mukhtar or me, tons of resources we can push to your way. So yes, and from there you begin to attend conferences, meet people, network, which is very, very important.
Thank you. And
awesome. Thank you.
Adeni, so exactly what it says. So it doesn't matter where you are. I guess the principles are pretty much the same. You want to get into a new field, you have to learn, you have to do your research, you have to connect with the right people. It doesn't matter whether you're in Nigeria, in India, or anywhere else in the world. So they're pretty much the same. Does that help?
Awesome. It really helps. Thank you. Thank you.
You're very well.
I'll get in touch with you. You know yourself.
No problem. No problem. Okay. Any other question in the audience? I've not seen anything in the chat yet. Any question on Zoom? You can unmute. Well, because just to add a little, so Adeni has a similar background in fraud analysis. So I can understand his interest in this space. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. It's been a pleasure listening to you speak, DMB. I wanted to just reach out and ask. It's fascinating what you do, but I'm personally not in that. That's not where my head is at. But I'm more on the GRC audit side, so that's kind of where my question kind of speaks to. What sort of opportunities are there for people that are maybe looking to work within the government, or what opportunities are there for people looking to work, within government, but also with other parastatals or global parastatals that allow for people within the GRC and audit side? Maybe there are opportunities that you might be aware of that we might not be aware of, just as newbies, I guess, quote unquote, coming into the space. So are there any sort of opportunities that you could point us to in that direction?
Okay, quite a lot of fintechs come up with certain technology to be able to, address a certain problem or offer some solutions. The private sector, I know, especially the financial sector, they tend to advertise quite a lot of, probably you from the private sector, so you're aware of. They have audit, they have compliance, and a bit of governance. They come like 3 in 1. So the private sector, financial services, quite a lot of opportunities out there. There are also opportunities for fintechs that are looking to get somebody that is grounded in risks and compliance, because the thing is, what are the governing structures for you to practice what you're doing? What are the risks? How do you comply and make sure that you're doing the proper audit? For example, there was a particular bank that lost quite a lot of money. And when we're doing the investigation to find out where the vulnerabilities are, we realized that the problem wasn't the technology or the people they had, but they didn't have a very good compliance team that was making sure that all these processes that were supposed to be followed by everyone were not being complied with. And the risks kept on going up till at the end of the day, they lost quite a lot of money. So fintechs, financial services in terms of bank, audit firms, I'm seeing quite a lot of lawyers now or law firms have specialized section on GRC. And not just that, in the government point of view, I mean, you're seeing government in everywhere, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, there's adoption of this digital transformation of processes. But I always tell people, be very careful. Technology should be used to enable processes, not to drive them. So you need to understand what needs to be enabled. So really, you can set up a niche for yourself as an individual, get the right certifications in terms of the ISO standard, for example, get the right certification, get the right experience, then you begin to offer that as a service. Either you train people or rather you have a service to offer. So law firms, like I mentioned, government, public, especially in the legal and audit department, quite a lot of opportunities there, and opportunities are being advertised almost every day on LinkedIn. You get to see them quite a lot. What I tell people is, when you're writing your LinkedIn profile and your niche is kind of, let's say, GRC, it's very, very important that you use certain words, that would make sure your profile comes up, and also certain jobs, either through hashtag audit, hashtag GRC, your profile will come up, opportunities can come up from LinkedIn. And from there, all you need to do is get the first job. Once you've gotten the first opportunity, and most of these jobs nowadays are remote. You can do them remotely. I mean, they can just send you a policy. Can you look through this policy and see if it's been complied? This is the audit report. You use the basic, fundamentals in GRC, and you're able to see, okay, these are the problem. So you begin to build a reputation for yourself. Anytime there are conferences, exchange business cards, because I can assure you your client is in that particular network. So I don't know if that has answered your question. Opportunities are there online, but you have to kind of your LinkedIn profile or your professional profile on social media has to make sure that when that opportunity comes, the right things are being available on your profile to lead you to your potential either client or opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you very much. That's a lot of information. There's a lot to run with that. So if it's okay with you, I would like to reach out to you directly, and I think I'll add you on LinkedIn, and then we can go from there. But you definitely gave a lot of direction there, so I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. So just to add to that, so in summary, your brand is very important. Once you've specialized, own your brand, whether on LinkedIn, through conferences or anything, because yes, there are opportunities online. There are more opportunities not advertised. But it's only when you put yourself out there and people know what you do, and then, okay, if we have this problem, this is the go-to person. That's when people will reach out to you. So you will be surprised that you land more opportunities that you don't even interview for, because you've done a lot of talking. People already know who you are and they know what you offer. So brand yourself, own your career like it's your business. Because that's what we business people do. Put yourselves out there so people know what we're doing. So own your career progress like one too. Is there any other question before we wrap this up for today? Okay, it looks like we have it up. Thank you so much, Dr. Mukhtar. It's been a pleasure having you on the call, and I'm sure we'll connect again for sure. And we should see.
Definitely.
Yeah, within the next
Thank you.
we should be able to see you physically. Definitely. So thank you so much for
as well.
Yeah, and yeah, we will definitely be happy to have you on the session again, or even in our program again for sure. I'm sure the people here would want to see you. So we'll talk offline. Thank you all for joining the session today. And until next time, enjoy the rest of the weekend and stay safe.
Thank you, everyone.
Goodbye. Bye.